Oh boy, it's minus 18 this morning with a 50k wind. Sandy and I go out for a morning walk every day. We try to get 2 miles in. Today we only got a mile and a half, but boy, she's a cold one out today. Blowing a cold front through. It's supposed to be minus 25s, minus 30s coming down on us, so it's time to stoke that fire and keep that house warm. I find I do my most reflecting and my most creative thought process is in the shower. I find I stand in the shower in the hot water after a long hard day. Just reflect on the happenings. First thing in the morning, the first probably hour and a half, 2 hours in the morning, probably I'm the most creative. Or going for walks. We've been going for walks now for the last little while. It's good for the heart and just an exercise of my thought process through the entire time. And Sandy's good to bounce ideas and reflect some thoughts on. So on today's walk, I was thinking about my whole queen rearing process and how I've integrated queen rearing into providing more of a sustainable fashion within my operations, and it's been quite the transformation. For one thing, I would not have been able to shift into this type of queen rearing strategy if I didn't have somebody to be able to handle that extra work. So that's where Carrie come in. I tapped her into all her talents, and we developed this little program, and I've dropped that pretty much on her lap to be able to look after. So I have this queen rearing program going, and it's provided me a tremendous amount of benefit. I'm looking at a savings right off the top. Savings at the time when we shifted out, I was spending $25,000 in queens, and they were, whatever they, $35 or $40 a queen at that time. Now, I mean, the queens are $45 to $50, so I'm looking probably at a $30 to $35, if not $40,000 savings every year in just making our own queens. So that's a huge value. And by making these queens, we're building nukes. So, you know, just the value of the nuke, including the queen in there. So if we make 400 nukes I sold them last year for a good price. So that's $100,000 to $125,000 worth of nukes I'm making every year. And that value of stock I'm realizing by being able to shift that fresh stock into my operations and call out all the unproductive stock within the apiary. So instead of going through and just trying to hold the apiary size at what it is and allowing place takers throughout, I'm taking all those unproductive place takers out, throwing them to the front into the queen rearing operation, killing the queen, putting a cell into those ones, starting them up again. And in those empty spots, I'm dropping fresh nukes. So it just enables me to be able to focus my entire operation around productivity. And anything that's making me money, we promote and sustain. Anything that's not gets out, and we drop something in there that's fresh and ready to go. So that's really benefited my operation. Also, I'm kind of incorporating a breeding program. Very subtle, but still it's reflecting within the stock as we go down the line. It's really hard to focus on certain traits that we want just because well, the bees are mating with so many different drones from a distance away from that mating yard, so it's hard to control that. But when we continually select the traits that we want, you know, the traits that express themselves to thrive within that area and to thrive with the management practices that we employ, then year after year after year we just get more and more of those characteristics express itself throughout the entire operation, and we're starting to see that, and that's a lot of fun. And the bees are kind of managing their own course in a way, and we're just selecting the ones that are successful. So they're becoming more dark in their stock, more conservative, I guess, maybe wintering a little more of a tighter cluster instead of those great big clusters, and a little more reflective on exactly what's going on in regards to the nest establishment, maintenance, and development. So there's a lot that's been going on within the operation in regards to breeding and just sustaining our own stock. You know, we have, let's say, 1,500 hives come through, and let's say 10% off for winter loss. And I have a rule, it's 10% loss pretty much per season. So 10% off the top out of winter, and spring's 10%, summer 10%. That can get up to 20% in bad summers if there's things that happen. But let's say an average of 10%, and then if we're fussy, we can take a 10% call in the fall. So that's a 30% call back throughout the year. So in 1,500 hives times 30%, that's 450 colonies that we have to make up to fill all those dead spots. So that's pretty much what my nuke program covers. I have 400 or so nukes coming through the winter, and that's going to make up for all the losses that occur through the winter and all the summertime period, and my call outs. And that just helps maintain the size of operation without compromising it. And then on a good year like we had last year, it was extremely, we had a really good winter last year. We had like 4% or something winter loss, but we added 10% onto that just because of the tough spring. But even through those tough conditions, we still had surplus stock to be able to sell because of the girth that we had within the operation. So we sold off, 10% of the hives in the spring for a good $1. So that's another revenue stream, right? So the whole thing just seems to work together just absolutely beautifully. And as I'm through the winter here, I'm reflecting on all the videos that I'm doing. I'm making these compilation videos, and I'm doing that while I'm reflecting my thoughts throughout the year, just to help me put together my program for this upcoming season. Is what I do every year. And I've been able to really focus on the importance of maintaining a youthful stock within the operation. Those young queens are the most vigorous, and they're the ones that provide the most brilliance within the stock. Promote brilliance, right? And I mean, it just helps you get through tough years like it did last spring, and that was very evident in the videos as I was watching all the way through. That focus on that youth, rejuvenation. Beekeepers are always complaining about colony losses and that attrition, but that's absolutely normal in the bee world. There's establishment, there's development, and then there's die-off, and that's the same thing that happens within our operations, and we just have to maintain that consecutive cycle throughout our operations, just like the beehive does itself. And if we are good at it, we can catch those calls before they die off and flip them right back to the start and keep them going. Anyways, that's just a little bit of morning thought.